This is Atlantic Television Network Global News at 9 p.m. First, the headlines. Governor Sani imposes 24 hours curfew. Ogun administrative heads takes over local government. Federal government issues travel alerts for citizens. Central Bank of Nigeria raises import duty exchange rate. Bangladesh Prime Minister resigns. Bobrisky released from prison. Wakama reveals motivation for D Tigress win. Now onto the news in details. In a bid to dissuade the people of Imo State from joining the nationwide protests and to cushion the effects of soaring prices of food items in the state government, in collaboration with the federal government, have announced it will begin another round of palliative distribution among Imo residents. About 17,000 bags of rice are expected to be shared among residents in the 305 electoral wards in the state beginning Tuesday, August 6, 2024. This is made known by Governor Hope Uzodinma during a stakeholder meeting in the state. He said that the consignment is ready for distribution, but quickly added that the move is only meant to temporarily cushion the effects of hunger on the people and to mitigate the rising costs of food items across the country, to give the government time to find a lasting solution to the problem. The governor told the people that the ultimate objective of his administration is to create an enabling environment for job creation that will in turn lead to the elimination of poverty to the barest minimum. He disclosed that the palliatives will be shared equally amongst the electoral wards in the state to ensure that no local government area is left behind. He further disclosed that the consignment will be first handed over the local government for the onward distribution to the wards, adding that the state government has made arrangements for the transportation of the items to various wards with adequate security in place. He also said that the committee has been constituted to supervise the distribution process. Following the expiration of the tenure of local government chairman in Ogun State, the Ogun State government has tasked all heads of local government administration, HOLGAs, to use their administrative skills in managing the affairs of the council areas towards achieving seamless governance. Atlantic Network learns that the local government chairman, whose tenure expired on July 26, were elected on July 24, 2021 and sworn in by Governor Dapo Abiodun on July 26, 2021. Secretary to the state government Tokumbo Talabi, during a meeting with the Holgas in Oke, Mosa, Abeokuta, urged them to continue to promote political and socio-economic stability at the grassroots. Talabi assured them of the state government's continued support to reinvigorate the economy at the grassroots. He maintained that the Abiodun-led administration would remain committed to grassroots development through ongoing provision of infrastructure and by ensuring the execution of projects that would have an impact on the well-being and the welfare of the people. Responding on behalf of the HOLGAs, Director of Management Services Local Government Service Commission, Babatunde Owolabi, appreciated the governor for the high level of confidence reposed in the Holgas to hold forth at the grassroots. Owolabi noted the numerous responsibilities would require synergy in achieving government's policies and programs at the local government areas, pledging their determinations to live up to the expectations. Others at the meeting were the head of service, Mr. Kehinde Onasanya, Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy, Ganiu Hamzat, Permanent Secretary, Local Government Service Commission, Olanike Oguntona, and her counterpart in the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Olurotimi Akinlesi, amongst others. Chief Judge of Ogun State, Justice Mosumola Dipeolu, has told the judicial officers to shun compromise, be impartial and above board, and remain committed to upholding the rules of law for a better society. Justice Dipeolu disclosed this on Monday while addressing the newly sworn-in 10 presidents legal and a member of the Ogun State Customary Court held at the Judiciary Complex, Kobape Road, Abeokuta, while urging the judicial officers to resist the temptation of misusing the powers conferred on them. The Chief Judge said, as President Legal, you must adhere to the highest standards of integrity, impartiality, fairness, and transparency. You must take responsibility for every one of your actions and shun every form of corrupt practices. The Chief Judge said that these judicial officers must always remember that they remain the face of integrity and the confidence the members of the public reposed in the judiciary and should therefore not involve in any acts that could bring the court to disrepute. She explained that their employment was because they have demonstrated a high sense of professionalism and dedication to a sense of justice and should therefore continue to uphold the ethos of justice, equity, and fairness in discharging their duties. Speaking earlier, the president of Ogun State Customary Court of Appeal, Justice Adebisi Femi Segun, lauded the chief judge for approving the coming on board of President Legals, saying that this has not only marked the beginning of professionalization of the customary courts, but also helping to deepen the root of justice at the grassroots. Justice Femi Segun has therefore also urged these judicial officers to discharge their duties with utmost integrity and fairness, upon which respect for the judiciary is earned. Speaking on behalf of her colleagues, Mrs. Oluwatosin Junaid said that the President's legal remain committed to using their professional training to uplift justice at the grassroots and will certainly not be involved in any activities that will tarnish the image of the judiciary. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos on Monday has declared null and void the sale of Nigeria Air Limited to Ethiopian Airlines. Justice Ambrose Lewis Alagoa, in a judgment stopping the sale, ordered that the proposed establishment of a national carrier, Nigeria Air, by the federal government should not be carried out. The judge made the order while granting the relief sought by the plaintiffs, the registered trustees of the airline operators of Nigeria and 5 others in the aviation industry. Justice Lewis Alagoa held that all reliefs sought are granted except for the relief asking for 2 billion naira as damages for injury suffered by the plaintiffs as a result of their wrongful exclusion and the wrongful action, unlawful bidding and selection processes for the Nigeria Air project. Listed as the first to 6th plaintiffs in the suit are the registered trustees of the airline operators Azman Air Services Limited, Air Peace Limited, Max Air Limited, United Nigeria Airlines Company Limited, and Top Brass Aviation Limited. The 6 plaintiffs had filed the suit against the first to the 4th defendants, Nigeria Air Limited, Ethiopian Airlines, Senator Hadi Sirika, former Minister of Aviation, Federal Ministry of Aviation, and the Attorney General of the Federation. In the suit, the plaintiffs has asked the courts to make an order setting aside the entire bidding and selection processes for the Nigeria Air project, as well as the approval, grant or selection of Ethiopian Airlines by the former Minister Hadi Sirika and then former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. Kogi State Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo has said the state government will partner the Nigerian Police Trust Fund to address challenges of accommodation and logistics faced by officers and men of the state command of the Nigerian Police. Governor Ododo stated this when he received the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund, Alhaji Mohammed Shaidu, who was on a courtesy visit to the governor at the government house in Lokoja on Monday. The governor noted that the state government is committed to deepening its relationship with the Nigerian police and other security agencies in an effort to guarantee security of lives and property in the state. He stressed that the provision of accommodation through development of barracks and stations, as well as logistics, such as vehicles and other facilities, are necessary to enhance the welfare and operational capabilities of the police in the state. While commending President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for identifying resourceful young Nigerians for strategic appointments like the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Police Trust Fund, Governor Dodo assured them of the continued support of young Nigerians for the administration of the president. He advised the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Police Trust Fund to make the best use of the opportunity given him by repositioning the Nigeria Police Trust Fund, promising that he will continue to avail him of the support of the police as a brother and the governor of curfew, as anyone found violating the directive will be arrested and prosecuted in accordance with the extant laws of the land. ATM recalls that the state government had earlier imposed a 24-hour curfew in Jos North and Jos South local government areas following an attempt by suspected hoodlums to loot the properties of the citizens under the guise of End Bad Governance in Nigeria protests. The Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, on Monday witnessed a surge in vehicular movements on the fifth day of the nationwide protest, indicating a gradual return to normalcy. ATN gathered that the government offices at the Federal Secretariat complex remained deserted, with only a few staff members reporting for duty. Despite the increased vehicular movements, petty traders who rely on government workers for patronage were left waiting as businesses remained slow. The protests have significantly impacted the daily lives of Abuja residents, with many struggling to cope with the disruptions. The protesters, who have taken to the streets in cities across the country, are demanding an end to hunger, food inflation, and bad governance. They are also calling for the return of fuel subsidies, amongst other demands. The government has yet to effectively address the protesters' demands. Recall that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made a broadcast on Sunday in an attempt to address the protests. However, the broadcast was widely criticized for falling short of expectations. Organizers of the protest, as well as prominent figures such as former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, the People's Democratic Party, and Nigeria Labour Congress, amongst others, expressed disappointment with the president's response. The protesters have vowed to continue their actions until their demands are met, and the situation remained fluid, with developments unfolding by the hour. Nigerian Medical Doctors Association Kaduna State Chapter has appealed to Governor Uba Sani to intervene and save its abducted member, Dr. Ganiyat Popola, a resident doctor who was kidnapped over 7 months ago from the National Eye Center hospital quarters. The forum made the appeal through its state chairman, Dr. Madaki Shein, at a press briefing held on Monday in Kaduna. The forum lamented that the worrisome state of kidnappings involving their members and their families have become a cause for worry and concern, saying the government must do all it takes to prevent such disturbing occurrences from happening. He added that NMA is a process of developing a security/kidnap prevention advisory for its members, noting that the annual general meeting and scientific conference coming up later this week with the theme Enhancing Healthcare Delivery Amidst Challenges, Strategies for a Sustainable Medical Practice in Nigeria, acknowledge that the challenges in healthcare system are quite enormous and requires all hands to be on deck to tackle them and put us back on the right track towards a sustainable, improved quality healthcare delivery system. The forum further urged its members to continue to provide medical services, especially emergency services across the state, in the face of the nationwide ongoing protests. Controller of the Correctional Service Niger State Command, Alhaji Kaida Garba Adamu, has fortified security around correctional centers in the state as a result of the ongoing hunger protests. A statement signed by the head of Media and Public Relations Unit of the command, Malam Rabiu Mohammed Shah Ibu, stated that the move was in compliance with directives of the Controller General of the Service, CGS Haliru Nababa. The CGS had ordered that correctional commands across the country should be at alert to ensure the safety of the correctional centers. The statement explained that the command has deployed combined teams of other relevant sister security agencies to mount surveillance around correctional facilities in the state. The statement said that the state controller had taken an unscheduled visit to the 2 correctional centers situated in Minna, the state capital, to ascertain the level of compliance and the level of security put in place to ensure the safety of the facilities. After inspecting the 2 facilities, he also interacted with the inmates where he assured them of their safety and security. He urged them to cooperate with the management and remain calm, as according to him, the service is committed to their welfare and well-being. He further enjoined them to sustain the existing peaceful atmosphere in the yards. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Welcome back. This is the global news on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. The federal government has warned Nigerian citizens planning to travel to the United Kingdom to be wary of violence risk occasioned by the recent killing of 3 young girls at a concert. A statement released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Abuja, on Monday and signed by its spokesperson, AMB Eche Abu Obe, said the violence has assumed dangerous proportions as evidenced by reported attacks on law enforcement agents and damage to infrastructure. To this end, citizens are advised to be extra vigilant and take measures as follows: avoiding political processions and protests, rallies or marches, avoiding crowded areas and large gatherings, and being vigilant and self-aware at all times. It will be recalled that demonstrations by far-right and other extra-paramilitary groups in parts of the UK in recent weeks have been large and in some instances unruly. These disturbances have only been aggravated by the unfortunate deaths of the 3 girls, spawning an anti-immigration narrative with particular emphasis on Muslim immigrants or persons of color being targeted. A large crowd of anti-Muslim protesters clashed with police last Tuesday in a northern English town where 3 girls were stabbed to death and 5 other children critically wounded during an attack on a Taylor Swift-themed event on Monday. The horrific stabbing incident in Southport, a quiet seaside town north of Liverpool, has shocked the nation. Police have said it is not linked to terrorism and that the suspect was born in the UK. Analysts have decried that President Bola Tinubu did not show empathy by his conduct towards commiserating with families of those who lost their lives during the nationwide End Bad Governance protest. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Open Conversation, a legal practitioner, Asim Adams, cited that it took the president 3 days before empathizing with those families of those who died in course of the protests. Meanwhile, Dr. Nelson V.C. Okene, on his part, opinioned that the president's nationwide broadcast was far less than Nigerians expected as response to crisis of such magnitude. Recall that President Bola Tinubu on Sunday made a nationwide broadcast where he stated the fuel subsidy would not be reinstated. Former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has expressed disappointment over President Bola Tinubu's Sunday broadcast to Nigerians concerning the ongoing nationwide protests. Obi said Tinubu's address appeared disconnected from the harsh realities faced by the people and failed to address critical issues that initially triggered the protests. According to him, the speech either reflects a lack of awareness amongst his advisors regarding the scale of anger, hunger and hardship in the country, or a deliberate choice to disregard it. The former Anambra State Governor, in a post on his X handle on Monday, strongly advised the president to distance himself from sycophants and surround himself with individuals who will present the unvarnished truth. In a statement titled, "My Response to the President's Address," Obi said, having led the call for the president to address the nation and respond to the demands of the people, and having listened to the belated speech, I needed to delay my response to see if my understanding of the address was aligned with others. I hesitated to respond immediately as I felt it could have been perceived as another attempt by Peter Obi to sway public opinion, especially since I was initially accused of sponsoring the protests. Obi further said that Nigerians do not expect the president to solve the nation's problems overnight, but we do expect a concerted effort to address the mismanagement of public resources reduce the high cost of governance, and tackle issues like insecurity, corruption, electricity, agriculture, and productivity to set the country on a path to recover and growth. By doing so, the president can restore hope and rekindle the people's faith in our dear country, Nigeria. A new Nigeria is possible. Analysts have said that there is no relationship between the leaders and their followers in the country. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program, Society Watch, editor Goodluck Edafe posited that without the people, there would be no leadership. As such, there should be good rapport between leaders and the citizens. Meanwhile, Mr. Goodluck, however, advised Nigerian leaders to have the heart of humility. Recall the Socio-Economic Accountability Project has asked the Secretary General of Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland, to apply the Commonwealth Charter to hold Nigerian authorities to account over reports of attack on journalists. Pan-Yoruba socio-political group Afenifere has shown President Bola Tinubu to stop apportioning blames following the protest against his administration. Afenifere said Tinubu called for a revolution against former President Goodluck Jonathan, hence should not apportion blame now. Prince Justice Fakiyese, National Publicity Secretary of Afenifere Loyal to the acting leader, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, said the president's speech did not address the real issues of the nationwide hunger. The Pan-Yoruba socio-political group Afenifere has cautioned President Bola Tinubu to stop apportioning blames following the protests made against his administration. Afenifere said Tinubu called for a revolution against former President Goodluck Jonathan, hence should not apportion blame now. Prince Justice Fakiyesi, National Publicity Secretary of Afenifere Loyal to the acting leader, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, said the president's speech did not address the real issues of the nationwide hunger. Fakiyesi noted that it was disingenuous for Tinubu to claim that the nationwide protest was politically motivated when he did the same under Jonathan. Addressing newsmen on Monday, he said, "It is the same thing that happened under former President Goodluck Jonathan, and he, being Tinubu, called for a revolution or protest, and when he is facing the same thing, and even worse, he is blaming other people." Analysts have said that it is proper for protesters to gather at a lawful area and carry out their demonstration. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Blowout, a public affairs analyst, Ekie, posited that it would be better if the protesters assemble themselves in a lawful place and express their grievances than blocking roads. Meanwhile, Mr. Ekie further stated that the Eagle Square cannot be used for free unless the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike approves of it. Recall the Nigerian Labour Congress yesterday pointedly accused the police of mass killings of protesters, relying on reports that about 40 people may have been killed by security agencies. The Northern Elders Forum has expressed concern over President Bola Tinubu's national address on ongoing hunger protest. The NEF said the president was silent on the severe security situation in the northwest and other parts of the north. In a statement released on Monday by its Director and Publicity and Advocacy, Abdul Aziz Suleiman, the NEF lamented the escalating issues of banditry, kidnapping, rape and other criminal activities in the region that have caused widespread fear and insecurity. The forum equally noted that there are challenges in policing northern communities where criminal elements continue to cause harm, resulting in abandoned farmlands, closing schools, and destroyed livelihoods. The NEF expressed disappointment that the president's speech did not address these pressing issues or offer reassurance to affected communities. It regretted that despite choosing not to comment on the ongoing protests in the country, thereby remaining committed to peace and nationwide stability, the forum had hoped for the president's acknowledgement of the Northwest struggle and other affected regions. According to the NEF, the scale of the crisis is immense, with millions of the citizens displaced internally and hundreds of thousands of orphans facing hunger and malnourishment. The forum described the challenges as new and alarming realities that were previously unknown in the land. The Northern elders in the same vein pointed out that it is vital for the government that the government demonstrates a strong commitment to addressing the humanitarian disaster and shows that it has the capability to lead the nation through challenging times. The group opined that focus should have been on finding sustainable solutions to the crisis, prioritizing the needs of affected communities and ensuring that necessary resources are allocated to them. The forum added that it is essential that a magnitude of the challenge is not underestimated and expressed the belief that dealing with the humanitarian disaster in the north will require a level of political will and administrative competence that goes beyond what is needed to defeat criminal gangs. We'll now move on to the business news. House of Representatives have resolved to dissolve the current ad hoc joint downstream and midstream committee investigating the importation of adulterated petroleum products and non-availability of crude oil for domestic refineries and other critical energy security issues. At the committee's inauguration penultimate Monday, the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, speaking on behalf of the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, expressed concern over the resurgence of fuel queues at petrol stations, the increasing cost of premium motor spirits, popularly known as petrol, and the availability of crude oil feedstock for domestic refineries. Kalu noted that the investigation would also extend to other related issues impacting the sector, emphasizing the need for compliance with global standards in the quality of petroleum products imported into Nigeria. He stressed that the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Standards Organization of Nigeria must ensure that all petrol products into the country is rigorously tested in laboratories to meet standard sulfur and octane levels. He tasked the Joint Committee with investigating the quality and the number of laboratories that both the NMDPRA and SON use for their tests and to provide actionable feedback. The ad hoc committee led by the chairman of the House Committee in Petroleum Downstream, Ikenga Ugochinyere, had been calling for the sack of the group chief executive officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, while another group of 50 lawmakers has called for the retention. The lawmakers led by Billy Osauru of Edo State said the call for the sacking of Kyari when an investigation is being carried out was an action that is against parliamentary culture. However, in a statement on Monday in Abuja, the spokesperson for the House, Rotimi Akin, announced that the ad hoc committee has been dissolved and a new one would be constituted. Akin added, to ensure the efficacy and independence of this investigation, the new committee will consist of honorable members selected for their expertise, competence, and integrity. The CBN raises import duty exchange rate by 18 naira amid naira fluctuations against the dollar. The Central Bank of Nigeria has raised the import duty exchange rate to 1,618 naira amid foreign exchange fluctuations. According to the Nigeria Trade Hub, the federal government's official single window for trade, the exchange rate increased by 18 naira from the previous rate of 1,600 naira to a dollar. This comes as the naira closed at 1,617 naira per dollar last Friday. Consequently, the import duty exchange rate benchmarked on the position of the naira against a The development comes as the naira weakened by 6.43% in July despite central bank interventions. In the period under review, CBN sold FX at least 3 times to authorized dealers and one sale of Bureau de Change BDC operators as the naira faced significant pressure. Meanwhile, the director of the Center of Promotion of Private Enterprises, CPPE, Muda Yusuf, has consistently urged that the country's importation duty exchange rate be pegged at 1,000 naira per dollar amid the continued fluctuations of the naira. The world's largest cryptocurrency by market cap, the Bitcoin, dropped to $52,000 amid a market sell-off on Monday. The price of the digital assets dropped significantly by 13% in 24 hours. The cryptocurrency dipped from $60,752 on August 4th to $52,312 on August 5th. According to CoinMarketCap, a price tracking website for crypto assets. Similarly, the price for other cryptocurrencies also experienced a downswing. The price of Ethereum fell to $2,905 on August 4th to $2,261 on August 5th, a decline of 22.46% in 24 hours. CoinMarketCap also said the global cryptocurrency market shrank to $1.85 trillion after recording a reduction of over $184.39 billion of 14.06% in the last 24 hours. A report by the Economic Times stated that the dramatic drop was attributed to the hasty sell-off by investors due to geopolitical tensions and fears of the US recession and the global impact of yen's appreciation following the Bank of Japan's decision to raise interest rates to 0.25% and reduce bond purchases. On March 19, the Standard Chartered PLC raised its 2024 forecast of Bitcoin from $100,000 to $150,000. Standard Chartered also predicted the BTC would reach an all-time high of $250,000 by 2025 before settling around $200,000. On March 11, Bitcoin crossed $71,000 for the first time in 2 years. Nigerian Communications Commission has issued new guidance requiring telecommunication operators to provide clear and detailed information to subscribers about how they are being charged for calls and data usage. This is contained in a statement by the NCC Director of Public Affairs, Ruben Moka, on Monday in Abuja. Moka said the directive titled Guidance for Simplification of Tariffs aims to improve transparency, enhance consumer understanding, and promote fair competition among telecom service providers. He added that the NCC guidance effective from July 29, 2024 also directs that telecom operators fully disclose all tariff components and conditions. According to him, the guideline in the outcome of consultations with industry stakeholders include mobile network operators, MNOs, and consumer focus groups. An extensive data analysis on consumer preferences and expectations. The NCC director said that the objectives of the simplification guidelines are to reduce the complexity of tariff plans and bundles, ensure transparency and fairness of promotional elements of tariff plans, protect consumer interests by providing clear and understandable tariff information so that they make informed decisions, and promote fair competition among licensees by standardizing tariff structures. Moka further said that service providers are also required to display all relevant information about their tariffs, such as the name of the plan, the price, validity period, price per second for an on or off network and international calls, expected data speeds, and fair usage policies. Up next, international tidbits. The Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hassani has resigned and fled the country, following weeks of deadly protests in the South Asian country. In an address to the nation's army chief, Waqar-uz-Zaman announced that an interim government will now return to run Bangladesh and called for calm. MS Hasina, who ruled the country for close to 2 decades, boarded a military helicopter on Monday, an aide told newsmen, as huge crowds ignored a national curfew to storm her palace in Dhaka. Her resignation came after 300 people died in weeks of protests that the authorities sought to crush. A night of deadly violence on Sunday killed close to 100 and a curfew was called. On Monday, soldiers patrolled the streets. However, protesters remained defiant and called for a march on Dhaka as crowds swelled in the capital. Dozens of people have been killed and hundreds injured as anti-government protesters swept over the past weeks. Local newspaper Prothom Alo said at least 95 people, including at least 14 police officers, had died on Sunday in the violence. The death toll was the highest for a single day from any protest in Bangladesh's recent history, according to news agencies. Huge numbers stormed the Prime Minister's palace on Monday, preventing Ms. Hassani from delivering a speech. By early afternoon, the mood on the street had turned to one of celebration after the news of the Prime Minister's departure spread. Recall that the protesters began last month after student groups demanded the scrapping of a controversial quota system in government jobs. The Israeli embassy in Canberra on Monday criticized Australia for its reports into an airstrike in the Gaza Strip, which killed 7 aid workers. Zomi Frank-Com, an Australian citizen, was one of the 7 World Central Kitchen employees killed in the Israel Defense Forces airstrike on April 1st, Mark Binskin. Former chief of the Australian Defence Force was tasked by the Australian government to monitor an Israeli investigation into the killings. In a report released on Friday, Australia pressed Israel to reform its coordination with humanitarian organizations to protect civilians and aid workers. However, Binskin's report regrettably included some misinterpretations and omitted crucial details. The Israeli embassy said in a statement, Australia had misrepresented the way the report was conducted, the degree of cooperation and openness exhibited by the IDF, even concerning certain aspects of the tragic incident itself, it added. The Israeli embassy said while Binskin had no investigative authority or mandate, the IDF had fully engaged with him. And now to the entertainment news. Controversial cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, popularly known as Bobrisky, has regained freedom from the Kirikiri Correctional Center after spending 6 months in incarceration for abusing the naira by spraying it at parties. The social media celebrity was released on Monday morning after serving 6 months imprisonment. In a video cited by our ATN correspondent on X, Bobrisky was seen greeting his fans, who came to give him a welcoming reception. ATN recalled that Bobrisky was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment on April 12th, 2024 for naira abuse without the option of a fine by Justice Abimbola Ogbogboro. Justice Awogboro, who sentenced the cross-dresser without an option of a fine, said his sentence would serve as a lesson for others abusing the naira. Following the development, some netizens took to X.com to express their reactions to the cross-dresser's release from the correctional center. The cross-dresser warned Nigerians against abusing the naira in order not to end up in a prison, adding that the country's currency should be respected at all times. In sports this evening, Moses Simon has said he is fit to feature for Nantes in their pre-season friendlies against Lorient and Crystal Palace despite fresh injury fears. Nantes revealed after the club's friendly against Laval that the winger is nursing an ankle injury. Simon scored the Canaries' winning goal in the 2-1 victory. The Nigerian international stated that the injury is not serious. He told Score Nigeria that he felt some pain around his ankle, but that he is good to go, noting that he will resume training and play next preseason game against Lorient on Wednesday. ATN learned that Simon missed action for 3 months last season after sustaining an injury on international duty in March. The D Tigers head coach, Rena Wakama, says defeat to host France motivated her side to go all out for a win against Canada on Sunday. The 6-time African champions stunned world number 3 Australia 75-62 in their opening fixture at the 2024 Olympic Games. The Tigers, however, lost 75-54 to France in the second game. Wakama was quoted by FIBA.com saying that she was glad they did not lose because they were able to get back to what they do best. Also, there is no pressure now on them and that they have shown everyone that they deserve to be playing here. Nigeria rallied to beat Canada 79-70 to earn a berth in the quarterfinals. The Tigers will face holders USA in the quarterfinals on Wednesday. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Firm sues Governor Wike over land revocation. Governor Sani imposes 24 hours curfew. The federal government issues travel alert for citizens. CBN raises import duty exchange rates. Bangladesh Prime Minister resigns. Bobrisky released from prison. Wakama reveals motivation for the Tigress. Thank you for watching. I am David Obasi. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Twitter at AtlanticTV.net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress.
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, social